Have you ever wondered how a night meant for laughter and costumes can turn into a nightmare? Meet Livy Lewis, a 19-year-old resident of Hemp Hill who became the central figure in this harrowing story. Livy Lewis was more than just a name, as per her Facebook page. She was not just a recent graduate, she was a certified nurse's aide who passionately served her community. Moreover, her days were dedicated to caring for those in need at the Hemp Hill Care Center nursing home. But on October the 31st, 2020, life had other plans. Her promising life was abruptly cut short. She became the victim of a brutal murder that left everyone in disbelief. What could have turned this night of celebration into such a shocking event? What could drive someone to commit such a horrifying act? And what other dark secrets were concealed beneath the festive surface? These are the questions that will guide us through the chilling events that unfolded on that ominous Halloween night in 2020. Before we dive into this story, we want to express our sympathy to Livy's family and friends. Their loss is immense, and it is important to remember the seriousness of the events we are about to discuss. Let's take a step back to the beginning of this tragic incident. It all unfolded in Sabine County, Texas. On the evening of October the 31st, 2020, Livy attended a Halloween party with her boyfriend, Matthew Edgar. The night started off fairly normal, with people dressed up in Halloween costumes and enjoying the festivities. However, as the night progressed, things took a dark turn. A heated argument erupted between Livy and Matthew at the party. Allegedly, Matthew had witnessed Livy talking to another man, which led to a very public and intense confrontation. Witnesses at the party reported seeing the couple engaged in a heated exchange, with both of them yelling back and forth. Eventually, Livy decided that she had had enough and made the decision to leave the party. In a moment of intense emotion, Matthew followed her, getting into his vehicle to chase after her. The argument, which seemed like a typical lover's spat, would ultimately culminate in a shocking and tragic murder. Not long after Livy left the party, her lifeless body was discovered inside her car on the side of a road. She had sustained a gunshot wound to her neck and facial area, turning what had started as a night of celebration into a gruesome and perplexing crime scene. Lily Hudson unwittingly found herself at the center of the chilling discovery, stumbling upon two parked cars, a Honda Accord and a Ford F-150. She could never have anticipated the horror that awaited her inside the Honda Accord: the lifeless body of Livy Lewis. Shocked and terrified by what she had just stumbled upon, Lily immediately made the crucial call to 911, setting in motion a series of events. Initially, it was believed that two vehicles had been involved in a crash on Highway 83 East, approximately 3 miles east of Hemp Hill in an area known as Old Sabine. However, as investigators delved deeper into the circumstances surrounding Livy's death, a complex web of evidence, motives, and potential suspects began to emerge, casting a cloud of uncertainty over the town and keeping its residents on edge. This peaceful Halloween night had transformed into a nightmare, and the small community of Hemp Hill found itself grappling with a tragedy that defied understanding. On October the 31st, 2020, what initially appeared as a possible accident soon revealed itself as a homicide. The victim, a young woman, had suffered blunt force trauma and a possible gunshot wound. But as investigators arrived at the scene, they found more than just a lifeless body. There, in a nearby ditch, covered in blood and in a state of distress, was Matthew Edgar, Livy's boyfriend, age 24. Matthew was rushed to a local hospital, still disoriented from the events. During questioning, he provided a confusing account. He claimed to have last remembered drinking on a porch, and he even believed he had been stabbed. However, upon examination at the hospital, no stab wounds were found on his body. This inconsistency only deepened the investigators' suspicions. When the devastating news of Livy's death was delivered to Matthew, he broke down in tears, appearing shocked and distraught. The question that loomed large was this: was the young couple targeted by an unknown assailant, with Matthew too drunk to recall the attack? Or was he, in fact, the one responsible for this horrifying tragedy? The investigation was far from over, and the truth remained elusive. After receiving treatment for his minor injuries, the investigation took a rapid turn when the suspect, Matthew, was swiftly apprehended by the authorities. On November the 1st, He was booked into the Sabine County Jail, where he was denied bond. Meanwhile, the autopsy report for Livy had been completed, revealing the grim details of her demise. The cause of her death was determined to be blunt force trauma to the head, compounded by a shotgun wound to the neck. After the investigation unfolded, a disturbing sequence of events emerged. It was revealed that on the night in question, Livy was on her way home from the Halloween party when Matthew caught up to her in his truck. He used his vehicle to chase her down and ultimately shot her. Matthew then took Livy's phone and key fob before heading to his mother's house. There, he switched to a different truck before returning to the crime scene. Crucially, he had left the key fob at his mother's place, providing a crucial piece of evidence in the unfolding puzzle of this tragic night. Months passed, and in April of 2021, a pivotal hearing took place for Matthew despite the grim circumstances surrounding the crime. To the astonishment of many, Judge Craig Mixon granted him a $50,000 bail, which Matthew promptly posted. Just like that, he was released on bond. District Attorney Kevin Dutton voiced his objection to the bond, but it was still set. DA Dutton explained that while he disagreed with the bond's approval, he believed the court was following the law. Matthew's release caused public outrage, leading to protests outside the Sabine County Courthouse. Protesters gathered to express their frustration and encourage people to sign petitions, although their efforts couldn't change the law or the judge's orders. Around a week after his release, Matthew found himself back behind bars. Now, the 24-year-old was facing new criminal charges, including felony charges of assault of a family or household member, impeding breathing circulation, and criminal mischief. While these charges were unrelated to Livy, they were from the same day as her murder. Despite bond being denied initially, it was eventually granted, this time in the amount of $350,000. Once again, Matthew walked free, further fueling public frustration and concern about the justice system's handling of this case. Just 1 month before the trial was set to begin, on December the 15th, 2021, the Sabine County Sheriff's Office received a call at 2 p.m. reporting a woman had attacked a man and then broken the windshield of his car at a gas pump. This woman was none other than Livy's grieving mother, Darcy Bass. According to Darcy's Facebook post, she alleged that she had unexpectedly run into Matthew at a convenience store. Overwhelmed by her emotions, she threw things at him, assaulted him, and damaged his vehicle. The charges against her included assault causing bodily harm, retaliation, and mischief. Darcy expressed her anguish, saying, "I wish I could have done more. It's too much to see him in public." This incident raises a thought-provoking question. What would you do if you were in Darcy's shoes, confronted with the person who had taken your daughter's life? The unimaginable pain and anger she must have felt are difficult to comprehend. Matthew's trial started on January the 24th, 2022. During the first day, we learned about what happened on Halloween night and heard from witnesses. Caitlin Frick and Bobby Ozen testified about the party. Caitlin said Livy and Matthew argued loudly, but she couldn't hear what was said. Bobby mentioned Livy coming to his room to hang out, and she tried to calm things down between Matthew and his ex-wife Montana. Text messages from Matthew's phone were shown in court, including where he said, "Watch you all, take you all with a smile on my face." Montana texted him at 3:34 a.m. asking about Livy, and he replied, "Dead." This raised questions as he seemed to know about Livy's death before anyone else did. Montana also testified during the trial. She said Bobby warned everyone to leave the party, including Livy and Matthew. She tried calling Livy and got no response. Matthew texted her about Livy's death, but she didn't believe him, therefore didn't call 911. In addition to her witness testimony, Montana was also able to identify Matthew's gun at trial. Day 2 brought more witnesses and testimonies, including forensic scientist Carrie Todd, medical examiner Dr. Danielle Armstrong, and forensic examiner Jay Norman. The discussions revolved around DNA evidence found in Matthew's vehicle, autopsy results, the bullets used in the crime, and swabs taken from the scratches on Matthew's chin and face. On Day 3, Matthew was unaccounted for, but the trial continued. His lawyer asked for a 50-year prison sentence. Despite his absence, he was convicted of first-degree murder and sentenced to 99 years in prison and a $10,000 fine. As the days turned into months, Matthew Edgar was eluding the grasp of the law. The hunt for him continued, with investigators leaving no stone unturned. The sheriff's department embarked on searches at 2 locations, one believed to be Matthew's home and the other a wooded area near State Highway 83, close to where the tragic murder of Livy took place. And then the unexpected twist we have all been waiting for. The U.S. Marshal Service has finally caught up with the elusive Matthew Edgar after nearly a year on the run. Matthew was captured without incident. His hideout was closer than anyone had expected, just outside Hemp Hill. The long-running cat and mouse game had come to an end, but the scars of his actions, the trauma he had inflicted, still lingered, reminding us all of the enduring impact of one fateful Halloween night. Finally, after a relentless pursuit, justice was served for Livy Lewis and her grieving family. As we reflect on this gripping case, we're left pondering some crucial questions. Do you believe Matthew's ex-wife, Montana, possesses additional information about the case? Could she have been involved in his escape or the crime itself? Do you think this tragedy reveals a more intricate narrative, or was it simply the result of Matthew's anger and intoxication on that fateful night? We value your insights and thoughts on this compelling story. Share your perspective in the comments below, and let's continue this discussion together. If you found this story intriguing and thought-provoking, don't miss out on future episodes. Subscribe to our channel and hit the bell icon to receive notifications whenever we release new content.